Hello all my wonderful book people. Today I thought I'd do a video where I mention a few of my favorite adult series. I am assuming that these are adult series. They're in the fiction section instead of the young adult section at the library, so I don't really know how you categorize genres, young adult versus adult. Is it based on the age of the characters, the content level, the style of writing? I don't really know, so for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to say they're adult series. The first books I'm going to talk about are ones that I've read this year. They are called the MaddAddam Trilogy by Margaret Atwood. She's written 2 out of the 3 so far, and according to her Twitter, she's working on the 3rd one right now, and I think it's going to be called MaddAddam, but it'll probably be a few years before that comes out. The first book is called Oryx and Crake, and the second book is The Year of the Flood. But these are actually more like parallel novels than sequels. I actually haven't read these copies. I read the big hardback versions from the library. It was kind of awkward reading the Oryx and Crake one because it has like the Crakers on the cover and they don't wear any clothes, which actually doesn't bother me that much. It's just when other people see it, they are like, what in the world are you reading? So I just really prefer this cover. But because I absolutely adored reading the hardback version of The Year of the Flood, I think I might get those copies as well, since I love this series so much. There's just something about reading those big hardback books. It just reminds me of when I read Harry Potter, a very nostalgic feeling. It just feels a lot more epic that way. And to me, The Year of the Flood is on that same sort of level as Harry Potter, as weird as that is to say, because they're nothing alike, but it's just the level of detail and the world building is excellent. You can just tell that the authors had a lot of fun writing these books and being creative, and I find that very refreshing. I don't think I'm going to even attempt to describe what these books are about. Maybe if I do a separate review video for them, I'll go into more detail about the characters and the plot and everything that I liked and didn't like. But I will say that these are kind of apocalyptic novels, sort of dystopian novels, so if that's not really your thing, then you definitely won't like these because they're very science fiction, speculative fiction type books. If you want to know more about it, just go read the synopsis, see if it interests you. I definitely gave The Year of the Flood 5 stars, and I think I gave Oryx and Crake 4.75 stars or something like that. I did like Oryx and Crake when I first read it, but it actually wasn't until after I read The Year of the Flood that I really thought a lot more about what happened in Oryx and Crake. And reading The Year of the Flood made me really excited to read Oryx and Crake again, just to see how they mesh together. Reading this made me like this more. That might not make any sense, but I will be reading these again before the 3rd book comes out. The next books I'm going to talk about are the Earth's Children series by Jean Auel. I don't know how to say her name. We do own the entire series, I'm just too lazy to lug them all the way over here. The first book is called The Clan of the Cave Bear, and these are actually my boyfriend's copies. I have the 1st and 2nd one in the older paperback versions. My boyfriend sent them to me for my birthday when we first started dating. So those are in a different state. So he's the one who introduced me to the series. I've actually only read the 1st one and like half of the 2nd one, but I will get to them eventually. It's just that there are 6 books in the series, so it's quite long. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about the later ones. A lot of people loved The Clan of the Cave Bear and The Valley of Horses, but they say that the later ones get really repetitive. And I've also heard that they start steering away from historical fiction and more towards adult romance, which isn't my favorite genre. But either way, I am going to finish the series. I'm just really interested in this kind of topic. I read this about a year after taking an anthropology class, and I just remember it reminding me of a lot of the things that I learned. She did do a lot of research for this book, and of course everything's not completely accurate or up to date because I think it was written quite a while ago, so there's probably been new revelations since then. Yeah, this was written in 1980. So I'd say this is pretty good considering when she wrote it. It's just one example of what life might have been like for the Neanderthal and Cro-Magnons, what it would have been like if these 2 hominid species interacted with each other, which now they do think that there might have been interbreeding between the 2 species. And that does make the scenarios in here more plausible, which I find quite fascinating. The last series I'm going to talk about is the Ender Saga by Orson Scott Card. And we have 2 of the box sets. The first is the Ender Quartet, and Then there's the Shadow series. There's different orders you can read these books. You can either read them in the order they were published or in a more chronological order according to the storyline. And I chose to read them in a chronological order, so first I read Ender's Game, then Ender's Shadow, because they're parallel novels, and I actually ended up liking Ender's Shadow more than Ender's Game, although they're both really, really good, and I recommend both of them. Then I finished the Shadow series and read these three. And I like these, but probably not as much as the other two. These were a lot more political. Then I read Speaker for the Dead, Xenocide, and Children of the Mind. And to me, these are almost like their own little separate trilogy. A lot of people read Ender's Game and then read these and are very disappointed because they don't have the same action level as Ender's Game had. These are more of philosophical type books. They're definitely more thought-provoking books rather than action-based, which I personally like. I loved Ender's Game and I like these too. I just consider them separate entities. Speaker for the Dead and Xenocide, however you want to say it. I'm the worst person at pronouncing things. These two happen to be my favorite out of the 8, and a lot of people actually do not like Xenocide, which is fine, but I loved it. I thought it was very insightful. I loved the philosophical, ethical aspects of it. I liked the aliens, I liked their ecology. Sorry about that, guys, my camera battery died. If you've read any of these books or any adult series in general, please let me know what you thought about them in the comments. But that's basically it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye! Hello again. I forgot to mention that there are actually other books in the Ender series. There's a few short novels, and we actually have 2 of them. A War of Gifts and First Meetings in Ender's Universe.